Network Pathfinder News, Reviews, and Interviews podcast. I'm Ryan Costello. And this is Rob? Wait, but I can't hear you.
That's because I hit my mic in the wrong way.
Good.
I was verifying our audio and making sure it worked, and then I forgot to unmute properly. I'm Rob Pontius, aka Silent Infinity. Hi, everybody.
We are joined this week by...
Welcome to No Direction Beyond, your source for Starfinder's news, reviews, and interviews podcast. I'm Alexander Agunas, No Direction's Everyman Gamer.
And you're confused, Alex.
Intro. I'm sorry. It's been a long month.
It has been a long month. You know, the Gregorian calendar may go from January to December, but the gamer calendar goes from Gen Con to Gen Con. So we've just had our Gamer New Year, and now we've got a lot of stuff to talk about it. And unfortunately, Rob and I were not at Gen Con this year, but luckily Alex was. And so, Alex, you are here. You are our gamer on the ground.
Please tell us everything.
I can tell you guys a lot. Dustin and I went to Gen Con. We saw a lot. We did a lot. We met a lot of people. You know, we saw Jefferson J. Thacker at Gen Con. It was pretty great.
Param?
Yeah, also known as Param. It was good. He
used the official name. Uh-oh.
Yeah, the official name.
Is that like when mom's mad at you?
I tried to ask like the other guys from One Page Rules that he was with whether or not like they also called him Param, and they were like a lot more serious than I was, and I was like, oh, you guys are kind of serious. Maybe they were just tired. We didn't see him until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon on like Saturday. But no, it was a good show. We got to play a lot of Society. We played a bit of Starfinder Society. We tried a couple pickup games here and there. We played a lot of Magic the Gathering. We spent a lot of money. And we also got to check out some of the new offerings that Paizo had.
Excellent. So that is probably going to be the bulk of this episode, but we'll take a step back let's just talk about Gen Con conceptually. Like, what does Gen Con mean to you, Alex?
When you are a gamer, sometimes it can feel like you are in this like secret hobby that nobody else knows, and you are over explaining what every little minute term means to everybody. And then you go to Gen Con and it's like you're with your people. There's a reason why every time I've gone, I've described it more like a pilgrimage than like just a gaming convention. It's like a thing you have to do and experience. And it's not even that like you're not part of the culture if you don't. It's just kind of like you get a wash with the euphoria that is gaming, I think is the best way to put it.
That is perfect.
I love that. It's like you're immersed in the culture and it just feels comfortable and normal.
And it's not even always just like gaming culture. Like Dustin and I would be walking around, and like one of the days I wore my my Pink Star Steven Universe shirt and and blue jean shorts, and people would go, "Steven!" And I'm like, and then we would walk down, and Dustin would nudge me, and he would go, "Alex, look, that guy's dressed like..." Yeah, I'm Alex. Sometimes it's hard to keep that straight.
It's been a long month.
Yeah, it has been. And he'll point and he'll be like, "Oh, look, that guy's dressed like Husk from Has Been Hotel." And it's just like, you never really know what type of geekdom you're going to see at Gen Con. And it's really like, it's for gamers. But like, since we bring everything into gaming, everything comes into Gen Con too.
I like that.
Yeah.
Intersectionality of hobbies and interests. Also.
Yeah, there was a lot of different little, like, one of the things that I thought was really interesting going into the dealers floor. This is my first time being at Gen Con since the COVID pandemic. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting is there's a lot more like kind of like general geek nerd apparel stuff all over the convention. Like an artist alley, you would see like, you know, normal stuff like people drawing Magic the Gathering cards or making their own proxy tokens or dice towers. But then you'd also have people like, look, I made a Christmas tree ornament. This looks like Rick from Rick and Morty. What does it have to do with gaming? Nothing. But do you like it? And it's like, well, yeah, I kind of do like it.
That's great.
The other thing that was really big this year that I don't think I've ever seen before, are you too familiar with the genre called cozy gaming?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of...
Like Stardew Valley is cozy
gaming. Or like the little dragons that fire breathe crumpets.
Flamecraft.
Flamecraft. There was a lot of that this year. Gen Con did a pretty good job of like taking all of the different like categories of tabletop gaming and they kept things relatively close. So it was kind of like navigating a little city where like, okay, well here's where all the big tabletop RPG publishers are and all of these people are the magic card vendors and all of these people are the cozy gamers and here's the artist
Oh.
alley up in the corner. And so like you would go places and you'd kind of just know where things are because they did a really good job of organizing it this year. I was really impressed by it.
I love that. So it's much more like this is my area. This is the
Yeah.
magic part
Or
of
like
the
they had all
exhibit
of the
hall.
trading card games and like pickup games in the exhibit halls that were attached to the convention so you could pick up your games and walk in and go play them. And basically any constructed Magic event this year was over in Lucas Stadium. And one of the
Ooh.
funniest things they did this year is I didn't get to go see this, but reportedly Wizards of the Coast rented out an entire like building of like up to 5 or 6 stories and they called it the Wizards Tower. And so like that's where you would go to play D&D and stuff if you wanted to play at Gen Con. It was very on point with its branding and its theming across everybody this year. And let me tell you, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the pictures I took of the Paizo booth. I've never seen the Paizo booth look as stellar as it did this year.
I
Like,
saw bits and pieces, and
Same.
I knew it was brand new, especially Eric speaking about it on the keynote. But I
yeah.
haven't seen it, so I'll have to check out your larger pictures.
Well, also, like,
Okay.
walk us through it. What was it that was so
Okay.
stellar?
Yeah.
So Ryan, before I do that, I'm going to describe what the Paizo booth is traditionally like what you probably saw the last time you were there. They would kind of take these big foam tiles that were like alternating purple and black, and they would lay them down on the ground to give like the standing place where the booth was. They'd have like all of their bookshelves lined up with places, and then there's like little kind of like a directory to get to the front where the cash registers were, and that's kind of the bulk of it. The whole experience was like kind of guiding you towards the cash registers and just putting stuff around you, right? Is what they've done. So the booth was bigger this year. First of all, it was about as big as like one of the Asmodee play areas, which is pretty sizable. And they in the center you have this like kind of main I'm going to call it a pylon, but it's really just more of like this is the little structure we put in the center because there's a door behind the counter where we store the product when we're restocking, right? That is all that was. And then you have the cash registers with all of the different workers in front of it. You have the typical line going up through it, and then over on like the left hand side, you would have toward like closer to the street, you would have all of the bookshelves. So you would go and you would check out the books. Paizo really only brought, I would say, their core books to play the game systems, a few of their biggest hits for all of their games, and then like the new product. So you wouldn't go there and see like, oh look, it's Jade Regent, book number 6. I still need that. It's like they focused on trying to sell like the newest stuff or the stuff to get new people into the game, which I thought was smart. Then on the opposite side of that pylon where everything was stored, they had chairs set up with a big screen TV where they did a lot of like different types of like addresses to people. Like they would talk about like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're coming up on. I believe that's one of the places where the keynote address was broadcast. I don't think Eric actually did it from there on the floor, but I think they put it on the TV so that people could watch it and sit in the hall and watch him give his keynote, which was really cool.
Yeah,
Then
so
on
from the pictures and from what I've seen, I did not get the impression at all about this little studio that you're describing.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a studio. Like you could see it from the outside. Like it's not like there were walls around it.
Theater?
Yeah, kind of like an amphitheater, I think
Okay.
is the best way to put it. I have one picture that shows part of it, and like when I'm doing my little videos where I'm asking the different Paizo workers silly questions about upcoming products, like I said to Joshua Birdsong, I said, "What's the most impossible in Pathfinder Impossible Magic?" And we're actually sitting in that little amphitheater area where I did it. So if you want to go back and look at some of those, they're on my Blue Sky, and we also have them in convention chat on the No Direction Discord, which is a great place to go. You can go to nodirectionpodcast.com, click the Discord link, and join us. And then from there, you can see all of the little posts that I've made for like pictures and videos and whatnot. Now, I've set the stage. I've told you about the front, the back, the right hand side. Left-hand side, they had demo tables. There were 3 tables, and each table lined up with another television where they were showing their different, like, like how when a new adventure path comes out, they have like a little short on YouTube that they put together of like what this is about. None of them were playing any of the sound or voice acting, but they were showing all the pictures. And in between all of like the you're gonna have to help me with the name. It's Bastion of Blasphemies is the name of the adventure, right? The new adventure path.
Yes, it's Bastion of
Yeah, okay.
Sounds right.
Yeah, yeah. In addition to showing like those 2 new adventure paths, they also had that really cool 3D animated Starfinder trailer, where like the characters are going in to fight the Jin Souls, and it was cool. So you're sitting there playing the game, you're demoing whatever they're putting out, and they also have this on the screen. And in general, they had 1 table for demoing Pathfinder, 1 for Starfinder, and then 1 for the assorted games. So, like, when Dustin and I went there, Jenny Jarbowski was demoing Monster Match, which was pretty
fun.
Yeah.
Did you get to play Monster Match at all?
We tried. We got 3 people out of the necessary 4, and then the dealer hard closed. I did not get to play it, but I did do their Starfinder demo, which was fun. I very notably, I was there with Mike Bramick. He wrote the multi-table special for Starfinder this year. And
Mike's
he
great.
was like, yeah, he's like out in the actual dealer hall, like several shops away. And we're doing this fight where this robot comes out of our car and starts attacking us. And I'm playing Obadiah, who's like a Vesk soldier, and she's all about like honor. And she's like a former Veskarian soldier. It's like very Klingon for the Emperor kind of stuff. And so this little thing runs out of the car, and I shout at the top of my voice, "You puny robot, you dishonor our vehicle with your presence. Feel the wrath of the Emperor for the Veskarian." I shout it as loud as I can. And I get a text from him like 5 minutes later. Heard you screaming about the Vexcarian 200 feet away, Alex.
You made an impact.
You know what? If you're going to be at a big event like this, you might as well, right?
That's great. And I really like the sound of the booth channel. I mean, it makes it a very centralized hub for multiple fast. Shout out to the marketing team that did the booth design.
We saw every single booth in the dealer hall. And I would say that Paizo had the most professional looking booth I'd seen.
Nice.
It was very cool. Now, granted, I didn't see like a Wizards of the Coast booth, but I also don't think that Wizards of the Coast needed a booth. They had a whole tower. So if you like Wizard stuff, you probably went to the tower. And if you don't like Wizard stuff, well, you were probably pretty glad that they didn't take an overwhelming share of the dealer hall because everybody knows them.
Yeah,
you know?
I'd heard they changed their strategy that way. So.
Yeah. Well, Paizo changed their strategy too.
I heard there was a bar. I heard they took over the Omni Bar.
They took over the Omni Bar like every night. And every night you could go to the Omni Bar and they were pulling out some of like the side game stuff. So like they did Monster Mash one night. They did the Demigod Slaying one, I think is what it was, another night. And I heard a rumor there was one night where there was like you couldn't play 13 Omens because it's a GM game, but like they like a bunch of I think Thirsty or Eric or someone like that ran it for a group of people, and you could like watch as long as you were quiet
cool.
and respectful of the ambiance, which is cool. Yeah, they took over the Omni basically every day.
I love it. I mean, part of what I love about Gen Con is it's grown to really take over the city so much.
It has. And you go into basically any restaurant and they'll ask you like, "Oh, are you here for Gen Con?" And they can guess that. You've got all the stuff, but like they're also interested in what you have to say. So like Dustin made a couple of Starfinder pitches to a woman who served us breakfast one day. We did a big freelancer breakfast where all of the Paizo freelancers got together and that were at the convention had breakfast together, and he was explaining Starfinder to her. And one of the cute things that he was doing is he got a bag of they were foxes, but they were shaped like rubber ducks. So he was telling everybody they were squawkses from Starfinder and said, "Here, have a squawk. Great job." Or like, someone would give him a hero point and he'd say, "Oh, thanks, GM. Here's a squawk." And he'd go, "What do I do with this?" And he's like, "It's for you."
Yeah.
Okay.
You collect them, obviously.
Yeah, obviously you got to collect them all.
You keep them in your hover car.
Yeah, that's what Starfinder is for.
That I think that's great. And well, hopefully the the expanding presence too just helps to proliferate the exposure.
Yeah.
Too, let alone screaming and everyone hearing you across the exhibit hall.
I try. I help Paizo where I can. You know,
Yeah.
got to make sure that my partner is bringing in the big bucks by people knowing about his product.
There you
But
go.
you know what really impressed me, Ryan? Do you remember when we used to go to Gen Con and like the line to do anything at Paizo would be like out of the booth wrapped around it 3 times?
Yeah, and there would be like breaks in the halls and everything, like to make sure that people
Yeah.
could still there was still flow of traffic. Yes, I remember that well.
One of the things they did that was really smart this year is they started doing this towards the end, like the last couple of times we had went, but they actually set up a full secondary booth in the Sagamore Ballroom. So if you were a Pathfinder fan, you could go to the Sagamore and find basically all of the products they were selling down on the dealer floor and just buy them there instead.
Yeah,
I was going to
remember
say
when-
because they had the Sagamore too, so that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I remember
Sorry,
when
Matt.
Starfinder 1 launched, they had a whole second booth outside the Sagamore until like they sold out of Starfinder core rulebooks, and then it was just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, well, they used it better this year, that's for sure. And I got to talk to Adam Deigel a little bit while I was there. And one of the things he said that like Paizo has been adapting their business strategy too. So basically, if they sent anybody to Gen Con, it was mostly somebody who was in a leadership position who would benefit from going to different like industry meetings and doing like representing on Paizo's behalf. Basically, upper management was there for the most part. So Dustin and I were there. Dustin was not there representing Paizo. He got to do whatever he want, which for better or for worse. On one hand, it means you don't get a room in the Paizo suite. On the other hand, it meant that we literally spent all day Saturday playing Magic the Gathering. So, you take the wins where you can get them. But one of the things that was interesting that Adam told me was that part of Paizo's strategy is that there's like a company that works with Gen Con in order to put people who know how to do booth setup and like run the different like shops. And so Paizo had like a lot of people. I was like, I don't know you. Who are you? And they're like, oh, we're a temp worker. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so like on one hand, you kind of miss that like small company feel, but on the other hand, these people were professionals who knew how to set up a booth and like boom, 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 use the cash registers and get you out. Which like you got to admit, like Paizo, every other month in the year, they are working on writing books. Being a cashier is not really their specialty. So this actually, in my opinion, made things a lot faster and smoother from like a customer perspective, even if I would have loved to see more of my Paizo friends at the convention.
Hopefully that helped
Yeah.
with Takedown. I know Takedown is always like a grueling challenge. They're probably exhausted and it gets warm in there real fast.
Yeah. I'm torn about that because one of the things I like about Gen Con is you can go in any given booth and the person selling you the game probably also has a personal stake in it, either a designer or a friend or relation to the designer. So the
I would
idea that
say-
this might become
I would
more
say when I was
professionalized bothers
there-
me. Yeah?
Yeah, well, but I was there, like, the people who, like, Paizo employees were there, but
Yeah.
they were mostly, like, running demos. So, like, if you went to the demo tables, you could play with a Paizo person, or, like, they would be walking around and they would be explaining the books to you. It was more like the cashiers and the people who were, like, actively, like, running the logistics were, like, the people they had hired, which I thought it was good, but I also hear you and I agree. There were a bunch of people who were apparently at the show that I didn't see, like, I don't know for certain if Cosmo was there, but I did not see Cosmo. But I did get to see Thirsty for 30 seconds. He very busy. Well, that's not true. I saw him for the entire panel that I watched, and then I talked to him for 30 seconds, and then he ran off to a business meeting. I got to hang out with Jenny, the creative director of Starfinder, quite a bit. I talked to Josh Birdsong, who's on the Pathfinder team, Logan Bonner, who's their lead designer. Dustin and I had dinner with John Compton, which was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Who was the senior designer. And I went on a side quest for Jessica Catalan, the organized play developer. And that was fun too.
That's great.
Did you find her?
Yeah, well, no, finding Jessica was not the quest. Finding something for Jessica's daughter was the quest.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Jessica's daughter is a big Magic fan, and she's also a big Runaways fan from the Marvel comic.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Marvel Runaways?
Yeah, Marvel Runaways.
Okay.
And so Magic just came out with its Marvel set in July. And there's a Nico Minoru card in a specific set that you can only get from the Jumpstart set, which basically means you have to open packs. And Jumpstart packs are all predetermined because the idea is you take two Jumpstart packs and you shuffle them together and you can play a game without needing to build a deck. But they have common themes, they have rare themes, and they have mythic rare themes. And the card that she wanted is only found in one specific mythic rare theme. And Jessica was like, I'm not going to be able to hunt all these stores. You and Dustin are big on Magic. If you see the card, can you pick it up for me and I'll pay you back? And I was like, yeah, sure. We got you. And so I'm hunting through, and like on Saturday, right before it closed, I'm like at a dealer looking at cards. I'm like, wait, there it is. It's in foil. And I get the card and I'm like, yeah. And so I run back and I'm like, boom, here you go. The side quest complete.
Yeah, quest completed.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome.
That type of thing is very enjoyable to me. Dustin learned that one thing about me is that if you give me a job, even if you don't mean it to be a job, it will get done and it'll completely dominate my thought process until it's done.
You're one of those people that likes to check things off the list. Feels good.
I do. And also, if I don't keep it in my brain, I'll forget about it. That's the bigger problem. I'm fighting my ADHD. So it's like the idea, you see that meme where it's like the mom with her toddler in the pool and the other toddler's drowning, and at the bottom it's the guy in the chair. Like
what a metaphor.
Those kids and that skeleton are my thoughts. If I'm not sitting there lifting the kid and playing with them, it just goes to the bottom of the pool and drowns.
Yeah. So the focused organization must help a lot too, like you were saying.
Yeah, the new store organization was great.
It must be very helpful for new people. And I hope if even one of those point of sale people that were helping with the register, goes, oh, actually, I'm kind of interested in this Pathfinder stuff.
Yeah.
New fan, new customer.
All these gamers seem really interested in this 13 Omens thing. I should pick that up.
Yeah. I know. I was
guess
hoping
we're
you got
talking
to
about
play.
13 Omens now.
Yeah.
So what was 13 Omens presence like at the booth, and what was the buzz around
Sagamore? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of how to describe it. 13 Omens was something that everybody was talking of, but you didn't see a ton of it, except for like where the book was. And like, if you asked people about it, they would tell it to you, but it's not because they were like trying to hide it. To me, it felt like kind of the mystique. It's like, yeah, Pathfinder Starbinder, or, if you're looking for something a little more threatening, I can show you things. And so like you'd have this like happy, like bright booth. Like it was bright white with like pinks and purples, like all the silver, the piezo color. And then you get to one corner and it's like standing right next to like the Glittermander iconic. It's the yellow Skittermander with the rainbow sparkle dress and hair, and they have like a live figure of her like doing a pose on one side. On the other side, it's that life-size kobold statue, and then in the back you just see the cover for like one of the monsters in 13 Omens. It's this like horrible thing. So like walking around the corner of a hospital drenched in blood and just looking at you.
So it's real like, transition.
Yeah, no, and that was kind of the vibe of it. Like in my experience, it wasn't a thing that they were trying to like promote really hard yet. It was kind of like the thing you were supposed to find by accident. It kind of reminded me of like all the horror stories that start when you wander into the old shop and it's dusty and murky, and you find the spell book that people were never supposed to see, and then you pull it, and then suddenly the monster is at your house. Like that's kind of what it felt like to me. I don't know if that was intentional, but that was the vibe, and I liked it.
That is awesome. Yeah, I like the. Oh yeah, you might like this, only to discover the depth of it.
Yeah. Now, I actually picked up these copies that I'm holding for Owen. The week before Gen Con, I spent a week with Owen out in Oklahoma. Yeah, see, Ryan's got a fancy one too. We see it. See, Ryan did the same thing. He just put it on the side. It was just right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have that one too. But I said to Owen, I was like, Owen, you've been really hospitable to me. I've been here for like a week. Owen took me out. We did a whole bunch of like restaurants. We watched a ton of movies that I've never seen before that I'm still getting ridiculed about even to this day. Yes, I literally saw The Princess Bride for the first time 2 weeks ago. That was the big one. And so I said to him, I was like, Owen, I'm going to Gen Con. You've been so generous to me. Tell me, what can I get you? Like, what do you want me to get you for Gen Con? And he looked at me, he said, Alex, I want you to get me a copy of 13 Omens. I told Owen I would get him anything he wanted, and he picked 13 Omens. So to me, I was like, huh, okay. And so like 13 Omens was on my radar, but like when someone like Owen Casey Stevens says like, "Oh yeah, I'm interested in that," like that like me as a designer who's been in the industry and also covering news for God, what is it? Is it since 2014 I've been on the network,
Oh,
Ryan?
don't
Does that
start
sound
counting the
okay?
years.
Yeah,
all
that
of a sudden.
both sounds like not long enough and a long time ago. Anyway, it's been forever.
Yeah, at least 10 years. And so like in that time, like I've learned that if Owen shows a passing curiosity in something, that usually means it's worth looking into.
Well, having played 13 Omens, I can say it. I can't see a way of demoing it because it really is the full 2-hour experience. And
Yeah.
it's also not something I could see. You can't talk about it in the same way like we talked about Impossible Magic, where you break down every single chunk of it. Because the way they're selling it is that it's just going to be a single standalone adventure. That's every expansion. There's no feats or anything like that. And so to talk about it is to spoil it. And so you
Yeah.
can say the premise and then that's it. And these premises are intriguing. So it really will be a lot of people being like, it was such a cool game. It was such a cool experience. You have to try 13 Omens. And that's as far as any of us will ever be able to go with it.
Yeah. I know Thurston mentioned it when he was talking about it on the keynote, and I'd heard you speak of it, Ryan. Like, could you talk a little bit about that, like, dread mechanic of pulling the dice and what that really represents?
Sure. I think we talked about it last episode, but I'll go over it again.
Did we? I can't remember.
I know.
Well, now we're talking about 13 Omens again.
Yeah,
so
so it
for everyone
just
else
makes
watching
sense.
right
Yeah,
now
so-
or listening.
As the story progresses, you add Omen dice, and there are 13 Omen dice in general, to a bag, and the way that everything is resolved is you are pulling a certain number of d6s from the bag. And pulling Omen dice is bad. But as you hit certain story points, you will add more Omen dice to the bag until at the end you have all 13, which means there's a general ratcheting up of tension, knowing that the non-Omen dice are getting diluted as the game goes on. And of course, it's tying into these moments in the story. It's not just like, well, it's been half an hour, let's add a dice. It's, oh, you discovered what's in the creepy cabinet. Well, now we add an Omen dice because now we are in the next phase of the story. So there's this really nice synergy of atmosphere and mechanics and storytelling. And someone at the Paizo booth told my friend Will, who picked that up for me, that it's great because 13 Omens is a horror game that you can get really into the horror, but you can still goof around with your friends at the table. And when he said that, it was like, yes, that is exactly the experience I had. We were all having fun, and yet we were all invested and concerned about our characters as things were getting more and more creepy, more and more deadly.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate to me. I've never played the game, but I have given both of these a read through. I figure if I'm going to hold on to them for 3 weeks before I send them to Owen, I might as well learn a thing or two. And one of the things I thought was interesting is, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, it seemed like it leaned into a vibe that I would say reminded me of Cabin in the Woods, the movie.
Ooh.
So
Good
I
movie.
think there's enough flexibility that not all of them will. But or actually, no. Cabin in the Woods. You're right. Cabin in the Woods has like a meta layer to it. So yes, I think that's probably the best movie to compare it to. In that the atmosphere, the emotions are real and raw, and yet you've also got the the Scream style of realistic parody vibe going on.
Hey, no Directioneers.
No
I've
direction
seen Cabin in
ears.
the Woods.
Did you just see that with Owen?
No, I saw that one online.
I was wondering.
But what I meant is like a lot of like, it seemed like the characters that you play fall into archetypal characters.
Yes, so that's how
like
you
that.
still have character. You still have control of your character, even though they're pre-generated enough that they fit the specific story that they're built for. Because there's 2 sets of 5 stats. 5 stats of which are in every single 13 Omen game, and 5 stats of which are specific to the story that you were playing in. And so, like, if it's a magical story, occultism or magic will be one of the 5 stats, whereas the other ones are bravery, wits, fighting skills, things like that. And you get to decide the priorities. So you're told, like, this is your character, this is your backstory, and you get to justify, well, then I'm the best fighter in the group, I'm going to put my highest stat into fighting and whatnot. And the character customization aspect of it probably takes about 5 minutes, again, super easy to learn, and yet you end up with a character that is fully your version of that character.
That's cool. That kind of reminds me of like or not specialty, lore skills in Pathfinder, where like, here's your base stats, everybody has them, but this is your lore because you took it, it's part of your background kind of thing.
It's not exactly like that. It is like, because you know what the 10 stats are, but you have control over what you prioritize, and that then dictates your play style, and it dictates when you get to shine in the story. So if you want to be the fighty one, you put fighty one as your highest stat. When fights come up, you engage. If you want to be the smart one, you put your smart stat the highest. Lava Being says, how fast can your character run? This
can.
Yeah, can.
Doesn't mean you will.
You basically can get to the next point face. If you are always one successful die roll away from being where you need to be.
Yeah. And it sounds like, you have this framework, but allows for a lot of improv around the character too.
Yes, very much. Oh, we got first time chat from Alabasterilon. Hi, folks. Hi, Alex. Hi, Rob. Great to see some live content here. Well, great to have you, Alan. Aleb? We'll go with Aleb.
Yeah. I'm actually undead, but thank you for the compliment.
All right. There's something that we have not talked about. We haven't even alluded to it yet, and yet it seems like it was the only thing anyone not at Gen Con was talking about Gen Con this year. So, Alex, what was your point of view on the Flood?
Okay. I'm gonna paint a scene for you. Okay,
please use watercolors.
Good job. So, Dustin and I were leaving Lucas Oil Stadium. This year, the stadium was basically where they put everything Magic the Gathering. Dustin and I wanted to play Commander in like pods, which is like, and when you play Commander, you have to get 4 people. Everybody has a 100-card deck that they've built themselves, and you play this game together. Now, they had so many people signed up for the Hobbit pre-release that we could not play Commander in Lucas Oil Stadium. What that means is that Wizards is doing this thing where they are doing Universes Beyond. If you paid attention to any tabletop role-playing game news, they announced that D&D is doing a Universes Beyond with Star Wars and World of Warcraft. That's coming out this year. Magic does the same thing, but with trading card sets, and that last week actually is when The Hobbit came out. It's the sequel set to Lord of the Rings, right. Despite The Hobbit.
Talk about Alex. I'm feeling like you're holding up the Magic the Gathering baby while the Flood baby is drowning.
just like what happened. I'm telling you. So we go and we're leaving the stadium, and it starts raining. And it starts raining like fairly hard. So we're like, okay, we have to hustle. So we get to the exhibition hall, we give in our tickets, we sit down in this hall, we're like, all right, we're gonna get ready to play. And then we hear on the loudspeaker, attention Gen Con guests, there is a tornado warning. Please move away from all windows into a place that is secure. The staff will tell you where to go. And so like everyone gets really quiet in the hall. And then literally the collective zeitgeist of all the geeks here shrug, and everyone gets back to playing their board game. that was my experience. So
what I heard was like 70,000 cell phones went off with a tornado warning at once.
Yes. And then they started spamming that across the loudspeakers. For most of the convention, nothing really happened. The wind was harsh outside, but it never formed. A tornado never came close to Indianapolis, right? We were all reasonably fine. The place that got hit, it wasn't the Omni, but one of the hotels had a major leak and blasted all of this water right down on into like where like they were running demos like on the first floor. It was like, how like a lot of the lobbies will have like a separate, it's like the hotel isn't on top of the lobby, there's like a separate roof. That roof gave in, and I've seen like some horrible pictures of like flooding happening in different hotels and places, but from where we were in the convention center, there was nothing that really happened. Literally everyone shrugged and kept on playing games. We were like, oh, there's no windows. And if the hotel, if a tornado comes and rips the roof off of this house, the fact that my cards are flying around is the least of my concerns. So let's just keep playing. And that was kind of the vibe. Like it was sort of a thing where like, it was more of a thing that people outside of the convention were talking about. Everyone there, we were like, well, if a tornado's going to be here, we're screwed. Let's
Yeah.
make sure we go out with a game of Pathfinder or two.
Because I saw like a couple videos and some pictures of it flooding into part of the exhibit hall, or at least one part of the
Yeah,
convention
it
hall,
was
and
like
it looked bad for whoever had been set up there. I felt
yeah, it was
vendors.
so it wasn't the exhibit hall. It was like the halls outside of like where like the rooms are, like the hallways. Is one of the hallways flooded. They had that cleaned up by the next day on Sunday.
It's good.
So like kudos to those people who probably worked nonstop to do it. It was a really surreal event because either it was the most nothing burger thing you'd ever seen, or water, game don't like water. Please don't ruin my expensive cardboard. And I don't even say that meaning magic, like books, board
Everything.
games. Everything gaming
Yeah.
gets ruined by water.
Like lava
Probably
beings.
why for a long time many geeks didn't like to bathe.
Yeah. Lava Bean. Lava Bean said that appeared to me to be the big open play area, and that's what I figured it was one of the
Yeah,
open play areas.
it was the open play area that
flooded
flooded.
through, and hopefully they could at least move stuff fast and no one lost it. I'm glad people were safe. And
Yeah,
tornadoes
I
didn't
feel like
actually hit.
had someone lost something significant, we would have heard about it. So it's kind of like amazing that nobody lost a valuable card. No vendor got their booth flooded because, like, for most of these companies, Gen Con represents a large portion of their sales for the year. And so if they got shut down, even if insurance is going to cover what they lost, like that is still a loss of like presence in the hobby, like all the money that it paid to get there to be at Gen Con. Like it could have ruined somebody's business, could have ruined somebody's life. But no, it seems like nobody was harmed. No significant damage other than to some infrastructure.
And everyone will remember the Great Flood of 2026.
I've seen T-shirts with the announcement, the tornado warning announcement printed on them.
Oh, wow. So, well, I hope to get up there next year. So maybe
I love
we'll see
people's
those
ability to
shirts.
like make fun merch and like in memes off of like stuff like this. As far as I know, it's the first time there's ever been anything like this at a Gen Con, and it's like what, 55 years old now?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've never heard of anything like this before.
Every time I've been there, it's just been very hot.
Yeah.
That's about it.
So that was the other thing that was kind of weird. The weather was mild for Indiana. It was like most of the time it was like 87 to like 92, which is not like it's still hot, but it's not like I'm in the desert, please save me, you know.
Yep.
We've definitely had worse Gen Cons while Ryan and I were there. I remember one time we were walking around in the evening in our No Direction shirts, and it was like 97 degrees after sunset, and it was like 10 o'clock at night.
Have you ever done setup, Alex?
No, never.
Yeah, there's no air conditioning or anything. Like I have like cut the sleeves off my t-shirts one time. I remember kneeling down and my knee was so drenched with sweat that as soon as it hit the concrete, I just slipped. I just skidded off my sweaty knee. Yeah, it's awful. And I am a sweater, so it's always especially bad for me.
What did you
Is
say?
that when you were still with Blind Ferret?
Yeah, exactly. Blind Ferret and Lava Dragon. Alabaster Lion said something about Princess Donut and the flood itself. Yeah. So Jeff Dees, who does the narration of the Dungeon Crawler Carl audiobooks, at one point was announcing the tornado warning as Princess Donut over the live speaker.
Yeah.
What a guy.
It was his first Gen Con, and from what I hear, he absolutely loved it, which is not a surprise. It seems like Dungeon Crawler Carl had a huge presence at the con.
Yeah.
Like I should do full disclosure. I work for Renegade, who has the Dungeon Crawler Carl RPG license. I've done some work on the Dungeon Crawler Carl RPG, that the adventure that ran at Gen Con. Regardless of that, it seems like Dungeon Crawler Carl had a big Gen Con.
Yo, Renegade had a big Gen Con too.
What did, sorry?
Renegade, like their
yes.
booth was one of the biggest ones.
Well, they did just have a $13 million Kickstarter for that specifically, and then they announced the Anne Rice, what's her vampire thing?
Vampire Lestat, Interview with the Vampire.
It is Interview with the Vampire, but is there a name for that world?
Oh, like Vampire Chronicles or something.
Yeah, hold on. Let me quickly... Immortal Universe. Anne Rice's Immortal Universe. So they're releasing that as a role-playing game.
I don't think I've heard that before, but now I know.
Okay.
Immortal Universe. Interesting.
So we are like 15 minutes till the end of the broadcast, and we have not talked about the Paizo announcements. So let's talk about some of the new games and new products that we can look forward to. Rob, I believe you have the list queued up there.
Yeah, because we already knew, very excited about Dead God's Hand that's coming out this year. We know about Feybound coming out in November, which I'm very excited about. Love all things Fey. The Vault Lines Path for Darklands, and then both Tech Core and Secret of the Swarm, which is coming out for Starfinder this year. But I was excited for some of the stuff coming out in 2027. In January is Lost Omens Unseen World, which is all things spirits across Golarion.
Love it.
Will be very good for the Animist. But I think just in general, bringing and probably a little similar to some things we get from Feybound. But I like that it's giving this, we're just got a bunch of undead-related things with the Necromancer. What else is going on in the spirit world that's not necessarily just undead, but still represents kind of like a spiritual manifestation?
Yo, I like that they're actually leaning into like a spirit world. I don't know if this is right, but everything that I've seen about the solicitation for like the unseen world stuff, it reminds me of like there's an anime I love called Bed and Breakfast for Spirits, where a girl like walks through one of a torii gate into the spirit world where all the spirits live, and then she has to pay off her father's debt to a oni, and she does it by like operating a bed and breakfast at his hotel. And
Nice.
just like stuff like that is what I love, because I feel like we as a collective gaming group, we're trying to use the ethereal plane for like spirit stuff, and spirits really aren't the same as ghosts. So I've actually, you guys are on the Pathfinder side of things. I really like that they went and they added elemental planes of wood and metal too. Like just like stuff like that, where they're like, hey, maybe our cosmos isn't quite so locked in stone. Maybe we can do more. And I'm really excited to see the unseen world for that.
And isn't just Western European Anglo-Saxon.
Yes.
Which I
Definitely.
So also the vibe I get from Unseen World is that a lot of it is not going to be concrete, like this is how spirits work. It's going to be, this is how these regions believe it works, and they'll give you some rules to play out and explore that. But it's not making definitive answers to some things that should be more like faith-based or more cosmic questions.
Yeah, the guidelines of how things could be working. Give a frame
like
again for GM. That's why I'm hoping for some like adventure frames, or maybe, since I'm always big on the lore that is within these books, some like hints to things to see coming forward through some of the pasts in the future. Which, speaking of past, I'm very excited for Invaders from the Dark, which is in Numeria, and that's going to be the quote-unquote alien invasion, and we're going to see lots of Starfinder 2E usage to really show the compatibility between both. And I think it was Thurston that was specifically speaking of Invaders during the keynote.
I'm really excited for this one. So here's the thing. Okay. It's very easy to imagine classical fantasy stuff in sci-fi, right? Very easy. But whenever you try to flip it, it always ends up feeling kind of like Conan the Barbarian. And I think that Starfinder, in my experience, Starfinder
feels more like He-Man.
That's fair. I'll take He-Man. That's fair. I feel like, in my experience, correct me if you two have seen otherwise, but I've found that people seem to be more willing to take Pathfinder and bring it into Starfinder than the inverse. So I'm kind of hoping that this adventure path shows all the Pathfinder fans how cool the stuff we have in Starfinder is and makes you guys want it a little bit more. Yeah. There's also a couple things I'm hoping that they're going to do for you guys that I think will be good long term. I think, again, correct me if you disagree, but I think the thing that you guys really need is that you need your own fantasy appropriate auto fire area weapons, because we have this great class called the Soldier, right? And whenever people say, oh, I can't bring Starfinder into Pathfinder, the next word is, what am I going to do with the Soldier? They would only be able to play the melee option. There are no area fire weapons in fantasy. Like, that wouldn't work. And whenever you say that around my partner, Dustin gets really upset, because he's like, you could be a tanuki and have a big jug of sake and drink it and then spit it, and that's your flamethrower. And I'm like, I just hope they do something official like that because people need to see that.
I like that. I mean, again, I think it was Thursday. He was speaking of like, oh, maybe we'll explore how you get battery packs, or you're getting the energy you need for the right weapons, as well as some of the other like, hey, now this is here in modern day Galarian as opposed to the future. How do you refuel? How do you utilize some of these weapons or figure out how to use them? Meanwhile, fighting a ton of aliens trying to take over Numeria.
It's also worth pointing out, Tech Core is coming out a few months before this, giving people plenty of time. First of all, giving Paizo plenty of space to explore the preliminary stuff that they can then reference in the player's guide, and giving people time to digest the concept of technology and whatnot in Pathfinder. Rob, you seem like I've struck a nerve.
No, some of those crass starships in Numeria, maybe one's going to get fixed and everyone's going to start seeing in Galarian. I immediately think of the Epic from Chrono Trigger, where you get a hold of that ship and then are flying it around in different times. Maybe we'll see some starship use as well.
I will say that I do love when Pathfinder makes references to how things might have gotten to the way they are in Starfinder, like with the God's Reign. Are we allowed to talk about that? Is that a spoiler? Has it been long enough?
God's Reign? No, it's been long enough now.
Okay, so for those of you who
but
don't
it's
know,
8 minutes to the hour, so just if you could be quick.
Okay, when Gorham dies, the Devourer comes out of him, and that's where the Devourer comes from. I love it.
Yeah. I also like that Invaders from the Dark starts at level 1, so I feel like you could start as a purely Pathfinder fantasy character, and then by level 10, you will have your laser rifles and your hologram armor, and like you will see your progression as you get more and more of a hybrid of sci-fi and fantasy.
You also rage if they don't give Amiri one of those big Dashkos.
You do like Pathfinder main class, Starfinder archetype, or vice versa. Really get some cool blends.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I think that'll be really exciting. I know some people go like, all right, we've had a lot of Arisia. I'm really excited for Saga Lands because we'll get New Thassalon information there, which I'm really excited about. I love that. I love what Sorshin and Nocticula represent from a redemption standpoint. And then, of course, they spoke about Tomb of Dungeons, which is
the book, not a grave.
Big Gen Con book. Yeah. That's where Slayer and Daredevil will be after all the playtest work. But the new ancestries of Awakened Ooze and Gargoyle, literally super fluid and rock hard. And I loved that they made a reference. Maybe it was Mona to Jonathan Frakes, who played Goliath in Gargoyles. Like, I think that'll be great. I'm really excited to see what you can do with those.
Keith David played Goliath. Jonathan Frakes was the villain.
Oh, no, he was Xanatos.
Yes.
See?
Nice. I hope they...
Ryan's here to correct me.
If you didn't with the ooze, I think playable oozes in Pathfinder is the thing that I am the most excited for. That's just great. I like that Pathfinder is willing to allow itself to become as weird as Starfinder. That's good branding.
Well, and I think a lot of people really glommed onto the was it the ooze morph archetype for the first edition shifter? Like it was
glommed is the correct word for that. Yes.
So I just feel like we are due for more second edition indulgence of slimes.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Could blend well with some of the flesh warping and things we see coming out of the Impossible.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff that can come out of Tomb of Dungeons in particular. I thought the Daredevil was really cool. Like this from the playtest, the Slayer didn't excite me as much as the idea of I'm gonna do that and flip, go do it.
Yeah, make crazy use of your like surroundings. I really like that.
If you've ever played a game with my No Direction Beyond co-host James, the Daredevil is like basically how James plays. So I don't think he'd actually want to play it because he wouldn't want a class that restricts him into doing it their way. But he'll see the impossible thing, says I'm gonna do that for style points, and then boom, that's the Daredevil.
I love it.
Yeah.
And the last two I had quickly copied down to was Evasion's Edge, which is a compilation of different Starfinder Society work. And then Galactic Arsenals, which will focus on factions and corporations. And as I mentioned to you before we start streaming, made me think immediately of Shadowrun. Different groups that could be operating within Starfinder. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, and if you want to hear my thoughts on that, tune into No Direction Beyond on August 31st. Or maybe August, maybe it'll be the 25th. I'm not sure. James and I have to do the schedule. But I'll talk more about it on
Stay
Beyond.
tuned.
Any final thoughts on Gen Con this year, Alex?
I thought it was fun. Gen Con is always a blast. It's nice to see that the hobby feels like it is moving forward after the pandemic. I was concerned about that. And it was nice to see so many people get together and enjoy a hobby they love, considering how rough things are right now. Yeah. It turns out that people always need spaces to get together and have a good time when bad things are happening. And that's what Gen Con is.
I love it.
Well, on that note, we can talk about a couple of good things that have happened in the Pathfinder space since our last episode. First of all, last episode we announced that Archives of Nethys and Paizo, it was like an end to their deal, and that things were going to be a lot more different now. After that was announced, and shortly after the episode launched, Paizo and Archives of Nethys came to a new agreement. So it's still not going to be exactly the old agreement, but it's going to be a lot less onus on Archives of Nethys to like provide like receipts and stuff for the sales. Like it's a lot less of a business partnership and more of a community partnership. And so it will continue to be the tool that we all love. They will continue to get early access to materials. They will not have access to the art that they used to, but still, the getting the materials early so that it's available on launch is one of the best things about Archives of Nethys, and so that will continue going on in the future. And the other good news we got is that there has been a settlement in the Diamond case, and Paizo is getting their stock back. Not all of it. Stuff that was already sold, they are not going to track down, they are not going to get compensated for, but the majority of what was being frozen and kept from them is coming back to them. So they will still need some time to recover from the damage that was done, but at least a major positive step forward has been made.
Yeah, I'm so glad to see that.
I'm so relieved to hear that, to be completely honest with you. Like, it was such a good bit of news to see.
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere. It feels like every time we heard new news about the Diamond situation, things were just worse, or they were just dragging on, and because they were dragging on, even if there were no changes, things were getting worse. But
makes me wonder how long JP Morgan Chase lawyers were just sitting on some information and trying to like go back and forth. I want to be happy with what we're doing.
I am sure that every dollar Paizo has clawed back was paid for in blood and sweat from Paizo's legal team and their management team.
Yeah, I'm sure. That can't be easy.
Well, give them a hero point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. just reach in, print out a hero point, put it in an envelope, lick the seal, send it, mail directly to Jim Butler's house. Hero point.
I can't even imagine.
Well, thank you for joining us for episode 312 of No Direction Network, Pathfinder News, Reviews, and Interviews podcast. If you want to know more about the No Direction Network, you can go to nodirectionpodcast.com. If you want to support us and keep the lights on, you can go to patreon.com/No Direction. And if you are one of our patrons, you can join us after our live shows for Private Sanctum, Patrons Private Sanctum, the after show that takes place on the No Direction Discord server. Before we go, Rob, is there anything you want to shout out to? Anything you think people should be paying attention to?
I'll shout out my article this week. It's just reflection of lore we're getting out of in possible magic, and maybe some of the ramifications of the Hellfire Crisis.
This is your third part in the Impossible Magic coverage?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the last article was really just the overall talking of everything else in the book that wasn't the classes, but I really wanted to dig into some of the lore impacts from there. And, I'll talk about Gen Con, of course, too.
So I'm playing a druid in one of my Pathfinder games, and I just leveled up, and I get second, third level spells now, whatever. I get more spells now. And when I opened up Path Builder, I had a much bigger suite of spells to look through. And yeah, I was reading some of them aloud, and the GM was like, oh, I need to know more about the primal spell list. None of this sounds familiar. It's because Impossible Magic just came to Path Builder.
Yeah, that's like, there's the Lightning Travel 1 spell that just came out. I'll have to find it. I can't think of it immediately. My brother, his druid has 6 rank spells and used it during the battle. We literally played this past Saturday, and he was just so happy.
Let me see if I can just quickly call up some of the spells that I've added to my character.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find that spell real quick.
All food or bust, Ryan. All food or bust.
Living Thunderbolt. There we go. You get to like move and actually electrocute things as you go, which is really cool. He loved it.
So I've got Disintegrating Puddle, where I am just spitting out a green glob of dangerous acid that increases in size as it flies towards the target. And then the other one I've grabbed is Murder of Crows. I send a flock of crows that torments the target with beaks and talons.
I took that for my Necromancer.
It's so versatile.
Yeah, no, it's...
You took it for the murder, I took it for the crows.
You know what also is versatile?
Tell me.
Going up to a set of prison bars and casting all food on them and eating the bars to break the person out of prison.
That's amazing.
You could do that with Stone to Flesh.
Oh!
On that note.
Could. Doesn't mean you should.
Yes, on that note, I'm Brian Costello.
I'm Rob Pontius.
I'm disgusted.
And if you want to find the bath, you need no direction.